This Friday marks the launch of the fourth Chicago Architecture Biennial. Past editions have been based at the Chicago Cultural Center, but this year's biennial shifting its focus to neighborhoods across Chicago and to finding creative opportunities to meet those communities' needs. Joining us now with more are Yoshi Tsukamoto, co-founder of the Tokyo-based architecture firm Atelier Bow Wow, which worked on designing the biennial's Englewood-based activation. Anton Seals, co-founder and lead steward of Grow Greater Englewood, one of the community organizations that's partnered with the biennial. And David Brown, the biennial's artistic director and a professor of architecture at UIC. Gentlemen, welcome to Chicago tonight. Thank you for joining us. David Brown, let's start with you, please. The theme for this year's biennial is the available city, reimagining vacant lots from around Chicago. Why was it important? Why is it important to repurpose empty spaces?
Well, it really starts from looking at city-owned vacant lots here in Chicago. This is a project I've been working on for about 10 years. And the magnitude of the vacant land in the city is actually quite large. Currently, there are about 13,000 spaces or vacant lots owned by the city. That's about the size of the downtown area. And it's primarily in neighborhoods on the west and south sides. And so to me has a tremendous impact on the character of those, or the feel and character of those neighborhoods, in terms of a lot of blocks are almost defined by vacancy. And so really trying to think through what's a way in which that land could actually be a positive within the neighborhood or each of those neighborhoods. And so thinking of it more as a system of collective spaces that could be organized by different community organizations. And so in a way have a landscape that's equal to the size of the loop within those neighborhoods.
Okay, so we know that one of those communities, one of those organizations is Grow Greater Englewood. Anton, one of this year's projects is the Englewood Village Plaza on a previously vacant lot at 58th and Halsted. How's that plaza going to be used?
Well, the plaza will be used, number one, thank you for having me, but the plaza will be used particularly to host marketplaces, a gathering space. So we've been having farmers markets there at 58th in the parking lot. So we have been creative placekeeping just to make spaces active. So we're looking forward to, both, this phase 1 and phase 2 where we've been so blessed to have Atelier Bow Wow build out such a unique and simple, but so elegant of a structure in the community. And I think it's something that's beautiful that the community will be definitely using. So the first part of us building a community table for about 60 people where we can share and break bread is something that's, going to be a significance, another space that becomes accessible for community that once was just littered with glass. And we're also growing on the other side of that is a community farm that is being stewarded by one of our main partners, Urban Growers Collective. So it's an exciting time. We've been working towards this for many years. And lastly, I just add, Brandis, is that it is the future kind of entry point to the Englewood Nature Trail, or the non-606, as we say on the south side, which is really around, creating Black spaces and centering Black community and our culture in the magnificent Greater Englewood, which is Englewood and West Englewood communities.
And Yoshi, you worked on the design for the plaza. Why is it important for communities to have a space to come together?
It's because to have a better accessibility to local resources for the community. I think it's very important to reconstruct the commons today, because our commons is a bit difficult nowadays, especially in the city area and in the very consumers-oriented society. But people have ability to grow things and to share things and to enjoy together through these experience and activities. I think it will be very important basis for the livelihood of the people today. And it's really helped people to know each other, to collaborate each other. And so I think architecture projects can really help people to achieve this goal, to reconstruct commons in each area. And then architectural work can really lower the barrier for the people to access the given resources, or sometimes we can discover latent resources already existing there, but not accessible nowadays. And so our project is focusing on this aspect of the resources in our environment.
And David, there are 15 different sites around the city as part of the biennial. How important is it to have community groups like Anton's in reimagining these spaces?
I think it's vital. To me, the interest is really is creating spaces that address what are interests and needs in each one of the neighborhoods. I think it also lends to a variety. No two of the spaces are really quite the same, and that's driven by not only the designers that are involved, but really that each community organization had a different idea of what should take place within their space, and I think what they're trying to do within their neighborhood. And so I think that's really the vital step one in this process. And then step two is trying to match them to a designer that I think really complements what each organization's interest might be, and maybe even introduces some aspects that are that exceed those expectations as well, in what that space can do.
And Anton, Grow Greater Englewood, we know that you all work on things like access to locally grown food, making sure that the community has a say in how the neighborhood's land is used. How does this project play into that mission for you all?
Well, as Yoshi talked about, it becomes, and what it always is, a space, gathering space for communities to, have access to spaces that reflect, one, the kind of exemplary things that are already happening in the community. But another big part of it is that nature itself has reclaimed spaces. So, with the aid of human hand of embellishing and enhancing that, it gives another space that has been left, kind of forgotten about in communities that have been divested in, a beautiful space. So the aesthetic of reflecting something in a Black community that is accessible and that is beautiful is important, and that is not tied to a consumer piece as well. That the notion of the commons is that everyone is welcome.
And to that end, Yoshi, I wanted to get Yoshi in here before we run out of time again, but Yoshi, your work takes into account the behavior of the natural world, of buildings and of people in about, I apologize, 20 seconds. How does that shape the designs that you create?
Oh, we always start our design process from understanding of the behavior of the people, and also the behavior of the nature around us, and then also some behavior of the buildings in the area. But this time it's totally empty plot, and then we focus mainly on the behavior of the people, behavior of the community, especially collective behavior. Yeah.
And it sounds like the community then, obviously, it all comes back together. The community helps with shaping all of that. That's where we'll have to leave it. My thanks to David Brown, Anton Seals, and Yoshi Tsukamoto for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bren.
Thank you.
And you can find details about the biennial events in different Chicago neighborhoods, including the Englewood project that we just told you about, on our website. Up next, our Spotlight Politics team on the latest with embattled Alderman Jim Gardner. But first, a look at the weather.